Right.
Yolanda, first of all, I want to start with
Yes.
I take this picture in 2001.
God.
We talk about the tour of with Graham Bonnet and
Yeah.
it was in bikini. Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing. Sorry,
No,
Yolanda.
no, no problem. No, just first of all, of course, to say to you that for me it's also an honor to interviewing you. You know, you are like a rock legend, so thank you very much for being with us, and of course, congratulations for this new album. I have listened this previous week, and it's really good.
Yeah.
So just to start, how did you begin to think about the idea of this album? If has been in the recent years or it's a long way?
Well, we started it before lockdown. So that was
Okay.
2019. We got together, wrote some tracks, recorded it in 5 days, so it's pretty much live. A lot of the solos are live. Then, of course, COVID came. So we didn't do the vocals and finish off the album till 2021. And then Simon joined Purple. So there was a big gap. So I didn't mix it till 2023. And then kind of forgot about it. 2022 is when we mixed it. And then we just, because there was an album to do with Simon for Purple, just kind of forgot about it. So it's been a very nice surprise that it's coming out and that, I'm doing lots of interviews and people seem to like it.
So you were not angry for this slow process, let's say.
No, no, it was just one of those things. It just it just took a time because of what was going on in the world.
Yes. So about the composition of the album is 100% yours or
No,
you
no,
you
it's co-write, right. It was written mainly by Carl Sentance, myself, and Simon McBride. But there's contributions. Three of the vocal tracks come from Mitchell Emms. Um, and that's really it. We kind of rehearsed it, got a few riffs, and I put everything together into songs, and then we just recorded it live, like it's a band, but with me running it. Like I'm called telling everyone what to do.
I want to ask you about the song "Gods of War" because it reminded me Rainbow, but in the Dio era.
What, Gods of War?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a bit of I don't know. It does sound a bit rainbowish, I suppose, and it's got a little bit of Perfect Strangers in there as well. Um, and it's a bit of an epic. So, um, is it Gates of Babylon by Rainbow? It reminded
Yeah.
me a lot of that as well. Kind of echoes that. It's just part of the genre. If you want to write a long track, you got to fill it up with all kinds of things.
also you have chosen Tell Me about of the first single of the album. I think
Yeah.
maybe it's the most hard rock song, let's say, of the album. So maybe it's a little bit confusing for the audience. So why did you choose this song?
Well, I didn't. I mean, the record company chose it.
Okay.
I was quite surprised, but yeah, it is quite heavy. I mean, it's distinctive. It's definitely not a Deep Purple track. Um, it's something a bit more original, a bit different in genre. That's what we were trying to do. Um, I don't know about it being the heaviest track on the album. I think there's some pretty heavy other tracks that too. So,
So music have the power to choose. I love all these songs, but I can pick up this single and this single. Yeah,
yeah,
and maybe you've got another opinion.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, there's 100 different opinions for 100 people, isn't there? Everybody got a slightly different view of things. My view of things is I wouldn't have released Tell Me as a single until I heard it, because I kind of forgotten about it. When I played it again, I went, oh, it's really rocking. You know, the track's really moving along. And Carl's vocals, he's done a great job there. Yeah.
I have read one comment in the video of the single in YouTube that for me is quite funny, and I want to know your opinion. And the comment is this song sounds more Deep Purple than the Deep Purple nowadays.
It's definitely full on. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a bit like you know, the Made in Japan album, where all hell breaks loose and just keeps going. And I think that as you get older, you kind of lose that thing. But we seem to have captured it on the new album. You know, that spirit, mainly because we recorded in a small studio with a very tight budget, you know, and lots of deadlines. You know, that we didn't have much time to do it. And that's how people used to record. You know. So I think it gives it that atmosphere of excitement that if you're in a bigger studio with more time and a bigger budget, and you know
Yes.
you're going out to eat at Morton's Steakhouse later on, you know, there's a different feeling to the music, let's say.
I listened to the album again, and I want to ask you about another song that for me it's really interesting. It's a beautiful hard rock half tempo, and the name is Power of Change. It has something special, and it's a possible single, I think.
Oh, really? It's a bit long, I think, for a single, and it's got that long instrumental passage at the end, which you know it ends with an instrumentally with a kind of Arabian string line. But it's definitely perhaps my favorite track on the album. I think it sounds full. It's got a very unusual musical progression in it, and there's a couple of great solos. You know, Simon's guitar solo is wonderful, and I love the sound of the Moog solo, the mini Moog. Yeah.
My other, this is one of my favorites also, but the other one is Finnegan's Awake. So my question is, you have not explored too much the just instrumental songs in the album. I think there are only two, if I am not wrong.
Yeah.
So why? I mean, that was the initial idea, or do you want to include more or
Both those
less?
tracks, both the instrumental tracks were improvised in the studio, actually. Girl from Harlem Park. We were booked we Monday to Friday. We booked, and on Friday at 4 o'clock, we were finished. And Dave Marks, the bass player, had to go, so just the three of us. And I was kind of feeling a bit sentimental, you know. Oh, I mean, it's nearly over, you know. Had this sad chord, and I just started playing, and it just took off from there. With the track Finnegan's Awake, it's an English joke. It's based. There's a book called Finnegan's Wake by James Joyce, a very famous book. So it's a pun on that, meaning that for a change, our beloved drummer Jon Finnigan was actually wide awake and came up with a great rhythm. I mean, it's nice to have that kind of unplanned part of the recording process where something comes out of the blue and you just go with it. You know, it used to be a great part of what recording was all about in the old days. So it's nice to go back to doing that sometimes.
Do you have female vocals in the album? Maybe in
You're
Moon
right.
Rising?
Sorry?
Female vocals in the choruses. or just men voices?
No, it's just it's Mitch. Mitch does all the backing vocals himself.
Okay, so I was wrong then. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Why you don't include any? I mean, it's not mandatory, but have you thought to include female vocals?
Well, it didn't occur to me at the time. No, I have to say. Sorry about that. But the
No,
only
no, it's
but the only
okay.
the only reason is that we didn't have time to do anything very elaborate. You know, we were under a deadline. You know, I think I was about to go out on tour. Mitch was about to go out on tour. So you got to get things done quickly. And when you got someone as clever as Mitch is, you know, he can do it all by himself. And you know, it's all done before you can drink your tea, you know.
Okay, so let's talk about.
I've worked a lot. I've worked
Sorry.
a lot with backing vocalists on the London session scene. There was a very there were three girls led by a wonderful singer called Miriam Stocksley, and they used to drive around London in a Rolls Royce, and they had the first mobile phone, just waiting for the studios to call them, and they drive to the next studio and do the next session, and they do that all day, week in week out, you know.
But there is one I asked about the chorus for one song that is Moon Rising.
Yeah,
That if there are not female, it's really similar. But
yeah.
yeah, I am wrong for sure.
Mitch, the singer, sound like any. He can sound like a lot of singers.
Hmm.
It's one of the things he's worked on a lot of TV shows where they use his talent to imitate people, and he can sound like it's Aretha Franklin's backing singers. You know, if he wants to. Yeah, I'm glad you spotted that.
I have seen that Simon McBride is going to issue a new album. So I suppose that you play in the album.
Well, he didn't tell me. No,
Ah,
I'm not on his album. No, I don't. I
oh,
don't know what this one is. You know, if Simon was a poker player, his cards would be there. You know. Never know what he's up to. He's Irish, you see. That's the way they are. No, I think it's stuff he recorded a few years ago, and they're just bringing it out now. I'm not sure.
Okay, and just to coming back to the Michael Emms, because I also read that he won the Voice or
Of
something
course, yeah.
similar in UK.
He's a,
So, how did you realize that you want him in the album?
from Simon knew him. Simon recommended him. We did a
Ah,
gig.
okay.
We played the Cambridge Rock Festival, and Carl couldn't do it. So Simon said we should get Mitchell in. I said, "Who's Mitchell?" You know, the Michelin man, we call him. So he just came in. He was absolutely brilliant, you know, and he's a very funny guy. And he's ever so young. He's only about 25, 26, but just, you know, a very capable professional singer. So we got on very well with him. Yeah.
It's quite nice that contrast between the, let's say, expertise and the fresh young. So in the
Yeah.
album you can feel it. So it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what happens. You want the sparks to fly, you know.
Mm.
So you got to give them something good to work to, and something that makes the singer think, how are we going to do this? What can we do there? You know, to get a different flavor. machines that, you know, disposed of the rubbish. And they wanted a soundtrack for it. So I used a lot of synthesizers. And it was a big success in Sweden. But I've never actually done, you know, Spielberg's never phoned me, or though I've waited.
Never is too
Hey.
late.
Yeah. Stephen, where are you?
Yolanda?
But okay, so there is something that you would like to explore that you have not been done yet? I mean, some guilty pleasure?
Oh, I can't talk about that on air. Oh, I see.
Okay.
I'd love to give a classical piano recital. You know, just me. Yeah. But I don't think that's going to happen now. I've left it.
Oh,
But you never know. Yeah. I did one in Slovakia about 6 years ago, 2018. They just wanted me to play piano. They said we wanted half classical, half rock. So I played lots of Schumann, lots of Chopin, and then lots of Deep Purple and various Beatles songs, and yeah, it was a big success. But it's the only time I've ever done it. But I'd love to do that again.
Classical music.
The piano really is my first instrument, and
You're talking about your classical
yeah.
studies, but do you remember what did you think when Concerto for Group and Orchestra by Deep Purple, John Lord?
Oh,
It was shocking.
I thought it was an amazing thing. Yeah, it still sounds great. It's a wonderful piece of work by John. And of course, the conductor, Malcolm Arnold, had a lot to do with making sure that the whole thing came together. You know, he was a big influencer. John told me it wouldn't have happened really unless Malcolm Arnold had been involved. He played a big part in it. So, no, it's a wonderful thing. There's a funny thing when you're a rock musician. Working with orchestras is great. And my time in Deep Purple, we did a tour with an orchestra, and it was fantastic. But at the end of it, actually, what you say to yourself is, I just want to be with a band. You know, it's great with an orchestra, but what we all really want to do is just those four guys just to be together and make all the sounds yourself. That's where all our hearts lie, I think. That's where you know, after Concerto for Group and Orchestra, Richie said, right, enough of that. Let's do something really different. And in rock, you know, Deep Purple in rock came out, you know.
Yeah, but it's funny because it was two leaders, John Lord, Richie Blackmore, and both the I think maybe the struggle of made something unique. I think.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Two worlds collided, you know. But and all the sparks flew. Amazing. They're an amazing band. Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard anything like Made in Japan. Is the most extraordinary album. I think. You know, I said to Pacey, you know, when it starts, it's like all hell breaks loose. And Pacey said to me, yeah, all hell breaks loose and it keeps going. You know, it doesn't stop. It just keeps going. God knows how they did it. Yeah.
Yolanda.
yes, I'm gonna change a little bit of the topic, but when you compose, do you use always keyboard or also grand piano, piano?
I always, yeah, everything I write to the keyboard.
Okay.
Usually, but everything I write's usually in a room with a guitar player or a singer, or, you know, there's always got to be that collaboration. Seems to bring the best out of people.
Did you play the piano yet?
Do I
I
play piano?
mean,
Huh?
yeah, that. Yeah.
I play piano every day, yeah.
But for you, there is a difference between a keyboard and a piano for sure.
Oh, yes, absolutely. No, I've made one piano album, which I did about 10 years ago, but never released it really. I released it on my own label and we sold it on the internet, but it hasn't really come out. But I'm quite proud of it. It's good.
You can now upload to Spotify. It's free.
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get the record. I'll get Nicholas to send it to you.
Oh, and really? Thank you. Yes.
All right. It's called Going Home.
Going.
It's about returning to my hometown of Sunderland and all that that means to me. Yeah.
We are waiting for in future, maybe in September and October. You can tour to play the songs of the album. But I check your set list and I have seen that Black Knight is the most played song in your shows. So, how special is Black Knight for you?
Well, I think it's the only, in my own shows, it's the only Deep Purple song we do. And it's always the second encore. You know, if we get a second encore, we do Black Knight because, you know, people want to hear at least one Purple song. We do a kind of different version of it to the one Deep Purple does, but it's a kind of good night, everybody. I introduce the band, everybody takes a solo. Yeah, it's a great track. You know, it's one of the great rock tracks ever written, I think.
So there are plans to tour with this album with the people that have been
There's
involved?
no plans. There's a desire, but no concrete
Okay.
plans. There's no concrete plans as yet, but there will be, I think. So maybe September, October, we might see something. Yeah.
Europe, just UK or
UK and Europe, yeah. Brexit permitting. If Brexit, you know,
yeah.
God, it's difficult. God knows what Boris Johnson was thinking about. Anyway, we're not talking about him.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I want to ask you about your time in Whitesnake, how it was to tour with Whitesnake in the best days of Whitesnake.
I never toured with Whitesnake.
No?
No?
But
Fail.
in the album 1987, you played
I
something?
played on the record.
Okay.
I played on Slip of the Tongue, but I didn't tour with them.
I was wrong.
Coverdale phoned me up once and he said, "Oh man, we're really enjoying using your samples." You know, they sampled me off the record. That's what came through the PA without my permission. That's the way it is when you're a keyboard player. See?
So you didn't tour, but they play your parts.
Yeah. They had a guy off the side of the stage who pressed a button and I came out the PA apparently. So
Oh.
I have nothing more
But bueno, that's illegal or not?
Huh?
I thought no.
I don't think it's very legal. No.
Yeah, that's life. Yeah, that's true.
Some people think they can do what they want, and usually they do. So, I've never known it any other way, so that's just the way it is. You know. Whinge moan. Yeah.
Yolanda?
Which is the album or you are most proud of?
The next one.
Okay. So we can confirm that you will release a new album.
Obviously, I mean, the Whitesnake 87 album's a very great album. You know, it had a very great guitar player on it, who we just sadly lost, John Sykes. Still Got the Blues by Gary Moore is a wonderful piece of work. I think Equals won the last Deep Purple album, as good as anything I've ever been on. You know, that was a real pleasure to do. And we didn't expect the success it had. You know, when we finished it, we thought, well, you always do. You never know how something's going to go down, you know. So it was wonderful it got such a great reception.
And if you record a new album, have you thought about the possibility to have as the producer Bob Ezrin? How it is to work with him?
How is it to work with Bob? Oh. No, Bob's great. You just got to get used to him, you know. It was funny with Simon. Simon had never encountered anybody like Bob Ezrin before, you know. Never. He just didn't get it at first. So I had to say, Simon, you just have to go with it, because he's always right. And that's the thing about Bob. You know, he knows exactly what he's doing and what's working, what isn't working. And it's great to have someone like that saying, stop. That's one of his favorite words. Stop, or no. Or his favorite phrase is, I'm still not liking it. You know, he's one of those guys who makes you think outside the box all the time, you know. And to do that, he's got certain methods, which is not always the most pleasant thing you've ever experienced. But, no.
I interviewed Simon McBride and says more or less what you are saying, so it's funny.
Yeah. I mean, Simon, nobody had ever said that to Simon before. You know, I think Simon was used to being his own producer, so he'd never experienced the old time music business. Yeah.
Hey, this summer there is a Black Sabbath farewell concert.
Yes, I've heard about it.
But there are a lot of special guests.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Are you going to be a special guest? Are you going to go as a fan? I suppose maybe it's a fantastic occasion to be there as a musician, I think.
Well, we haven't been asked. I just heard from Scott in Rival Sons today that they're on the bill now as well. So, but no, they haven't. I mean, obviously, they you know, the triumvirate of Sabbath, Zeppelin, Purple. You know, you can only have one out of those three headlining. You know, that's the way it is. I wish them luck. I hope it goes well. It's for a very noble cause. They're going to raise a lot of money for charity. I mean, the thing in England is nobody can get a ticket. All the tickets are gone.
Yeah.
Nobody even knows anybody who's got a ticket. But it's all sold out.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a very big day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We were planning to go there, but we suppose
Wish you luck.
Yeah, we will need it.
Yes.
I just have one more, so continue, Jordi, because
No, I got a lot of questions, but obviously, I want to ask you about Eurovision Song Contest, because we can say that you won Eurovision Song Contest with Katrina and the Waves in 1997.
Yeah. Well, they've got a studio near to where I live, and I'd done quite a few sessions for them, and they called me in the studio and said, "We've written this folk song," and they wrote it for the Samaritans, a charity, but the Samaritans didn't like it, and I said, "Why don't we rock it up then? You know, why don't I play Hammond on it and see what we do?" So I think it was second take, and it was really rocking. Oh, that sounds good. And they phoned me up and said, "We're entering it for Eurovision. Do you mind?" I said, "Oh, I'm a very, big Eurovision fan. I watch it every year. I love it." No, so it was amazing that, we got through to the finals, and they asked me to conduct the orchestra, and it was a great day. We couldn't believe we'd won. You know, it was an incredible surprise.
Yolanda?
So I suppose that your music taste, let's say, has changed over the years. So which kind of music Don Airey listen nowadays? Or if you can recommend us some bands?
I think, I mean, when I was young, you know, I used to, the first track that really turned me on from the rock was Twist and Shout by the Beatles. And that kind of thing, the intensity, you know, as came to the fore with Purple and Zeppelin and Hendrix and all those amazing bands. You know, that's still my taste in music. I mean, there's a few bands out there. I loved what came out of Seattle in the 90s. There's one amazing record I'm listening to at the moment by a girl singer called Cassiette. Have you heard of that?
No. It's
She's,
American?
no, she's an Essex girl. She's from Romford in Essex, and she's made an album, but it's produced by the Prodigy, the guys from the Prodigy. It's dynamite album. It's one of the best things I've heard for a long time. And she's great. I mean, you should listen to it. You're gonna love it. Cassiette, it's called.
Okay, yeah, sure.
It's called something like "I Hate the Whole Fucking World" or something like that. Got some.
Sounds good.
Can't quite remember the title, but she's written some great songs. Then. Yeah.
We will check it later. And the last one, if it's okay, you are an English gentleman, but you go on tour with Mötley Crüe. So I suppose both worlds collide, because Mötley Crüe were in the most crazy years touring with Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Well, I mean, Vince was the first person I ever heard say "dude." You know, it was very difficult. He was from Redondo Beach, and it's quite difficult to understand him when he spoke. You know, he spoke the lingo. So he gave me lessons how to speak dude language. And I got very friendly with Nicky Six. I mean, they were sweethearts, all of them, you know. But I think I went on their tour bus one night, and instead of going with Ozzy's tour bus, I went with the Mötley Crüe, and oh my God.
Okay, that's amazing.
That was an experience, yes. I was seeing another world. Yeah.
So the legends on the film and in the books are right, or just quite high than the reality?
Well, they were a crazy bunch, yeah.
Okay, wow.
They lived their life, let's put it that way. But you know, there was nothing horrible about them. They were lovely people, you know. I mean, you'd see them backstage all the time. They'd be in the catering. You know, sit down, come and sit down, talk to us. You know, come on, Don, come speak English. Tell us how to speak English. So I teach them to speak properly, like an English gentleman.
Yes.
On the last night of the tour, we got 2 huge sacks of flour, and up on the rig, we had a couple of the crew with flour and with flour scoops. And as Mötley Crüe played, there was just flour coming down all the time during their set. And by the end of it, all of them were covered. They were like snowmen.
Wow.
A band of snowmen, and they just kept playing. They didn't stop. And it was the funniest. I've got some wonderful photos from those days. You know, yeah, it was a very memorable tour. Yeah.
Yolanda, I'm
I'll tell
finished.
you anymore. I'll get arrested.
I think for me it's more than okay. What has been really, really nice to talk with you.
All right. Nice to talk with you. Yeah.
Please came to
Thank you for the kind words about my record. It means a lot. That
we are going to review it in Popular One and Stairway to Rock. So
Yes.
we have listened it, and it's a good mark, I think.
And just two last things. Don't forget to send me the piano album. And the second one, I am moving to Canterbury in 2 months. So if you want to play near, for me it's perfect.
To Canterbury?
Yeah.
Why are you going there?
To the University of Kent. So it's for work, but
yeah,
you can look for places there.
Yeah, lovely.
Or in London. London, it's okay also, for sure.
Yeah, London's not so far away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, great. Well, I wish you luck. Hope it goes well.
Thank you.
Okay. Right then.
So, thank you very much and good night.
Yeah, and you.
Bye.
I'll see you in London.